If you keep getting the same exact flare ups, whether it be knee pain, back stiffness, or even an old injury that just won't stay away, it's not bad luck and it's not just getting older. There's actually three main reasons that this keeps happening, and if you don't fix them, those flare ups are just gonna keep knocking on your door. And I know this because I personally used to deal with the same thing. In past seasons, I'd have to skip practices and modify workouts or just simply feel tentative in my training because something always felt on the verge of breaking. And I'd push through only for the same issues to keep coming back. But this season has been completely different. I haven't missed one single practice due to injury, and that's because of the exact same framework I'm about to teach you in this video. And the demands on my body are higher than ever. I'm training for the Olympics under one of the best coaches in the world. But instead of breaking down, my body is actually handling it better than it ever has. And that's because I finally fixed the root of the issues that were keeping me stuck in that same cycle of flare ups. So if you're serious about getting this handled once and for all, lock in because I'm going to show you exactly how you can do the same. All right, now for the three biggest reasons you keep getting the same flare ups. But just keep in mind, guys, these are just some of the high level concepts that I teach former athletes and high performers inside of my coaching program, Mind Your Movement. And these concepts have actually allowed them to finally break out of that cycle of nagging injuries, help them stop modifying workouts just to avoid pain, and ultimately to get back to training at a high level without constantly second guessing their bodies. What I'm giving you here today are the concepts, and you will understand exactly what's causing your flare ups, but actually fixing them, that's easier said than done because knowing what to do and actually executing it properly are two completely different things. With that said, reason number one is doing too much too soon. So, the biggest mistake that I see people making is suddenly increasing their workload before their body has actually adapted. And former athletes are the guiltiest of this because they think that just because they used to train at a high level before, that even now, years later, they're somehow still capable of what they used to be, despite having way lower activity levels and sitting all day now. And so some examples are, let's say you've been playing basketball once a week with no knee pain. And then your friend one week asked you to play on a second day of that week. And boom, suddenly your knee pain flares or your back tightens up or whatever it is. Another example, you're running 15 miles a week and then you bump that up to 30 miles a week suddenly, and you're now feeling plantar fasciitis flare up or you're feeling your Achilles flare up. Why this happens is that your body adapts to the stress that you put on it. So if you increase the load too fast, your tissues haven't actually had a chance to catch up, and that's when things break down. Reason number two is intensity overload, meaning you went too hard too soon. So you might not feel pain at low speeds or low efforts, but the moment you push to that max effort, that's when something gives. So let's say you can jog at a nice easy pace just fine, but once you try and sprint at top speed, that's when you pull something. Or let's say you can go up for a layup, no problem. But then when you try and explode for a dunk, maybe like you used to, that's when your knee flares up. And let's say you can lift moderately, no problem, but the second you push for that heavy PR, that's when something strains. And so this happens because your body, just because it can handle low intensity, doesn't mean that it's ready for high intensity force. Because when your body goes all out, it reverts back to its habitual movement patterns. And if that's not solid, then you're going to get exposed. And lastly, reason number three is training with bad alignment. And so if your body isn't absorbing force properly, then certain areas naturally are going to take way too much stress. And over time, those areas are going to wear down faster, which is what leads to those recurring injuries. So let's say you're a runner whose glutes and hips aren't absorbing force properly. Well, then your shins and your knees are going to take that load instead, and that's what's going to lead to shin splints and knee pain. Or let's say you're a lifter and you're rounding your low back every time you bend over. Well, instead of your core and your glutes taking the load, then your spine is going to have to compensate. So just think of it like a worn out shoe. If you look at the bottom of your shoes, you're going to see some areas are more worn down than the others. That's exactly how bad movement patterns wear down your body. Because your body is designed to be resilient, but if you don't move how it was designed to, and you move with these suboptimal patterns, then it's going to break down faster. All right, and now for how to actually fix this for good and get rid of your recurring injuries. Well, it's pretty simple. You just got to do exactly the opposite of what we just spoke about. So, firstly, control your volume, because if you want to avoid overloading your body, you need to increase that volume gradually and respect your limits. You got to be mindful of those sudden jumps in activity. And just because you can play another game, it doesn't mean your body is ready for it. You need to stay disciplined with your volume and not let peer pressure or excitement or ego push you past your limits. You just got to remember you can get back to those high workloads. You just need to stack it up progressively and shift your mindset from thinking that, oh my God, why am I not where I was in college? Just accept where you're at right now and understand that with the right strategy, you can surely ramp up. And secondly, you want to do 80% of your training at sub maximal intensities instead of maxing out all the time. As contradictory as that may sound, going at 100% effort all the time is actually hurting your progress. So do reps at 60, 70, maybe 80% of your max effort 80% of the time. And use that to improve on your technique, your positioning, your coordination, and just let those improvements happen over time instead of forcing the intensity. In my own training, I went from a 3.85 in my 30-meter sprint to a 3.7 without even running any sprints in a 5-week period. And I focused on my technique, my rhythm, my form, and just naturally, I saw those speed gains improve. And same thing with my standing long jump. I improved a whole foot without ever really maxing that out in practice. So just train smart and you'll see the performance gains will naturally come. And even better yet, you'll be able to stay injury free. All right, last point, guys. You have to rewire your body to move with better patterns so that your body actually works the way that it's supposed to. Your body is actually designed to move in a very specific way based on physics and anatomy. And when you're in proper alignment, force is spread efficiently across your entire system and no one area takes too much load. So you first have to identify where you're overloading certain joints or muscles, and then you have to retrain your movement patterns so that those weak areas do their job. And remember, your body is built to be resilient. If you're constantly breaking down, it's not because you're old or fragile, it's just because you're reinforcing bad patterns. And when you fix those, you finally start fighting against your body and it actually starts working for you instead. All right, now these are the 3 biggest reasons you keep getting the same flare ups. I've broken them down on a macro level, but the things that make the real difference are the intricacies of how you actually implement these principles in your training. And that's where I've been helping former athletes and high performers inside Mind Your Movement finally break out of the injury cycle and train pain free again. So if you're stuck modifying your workouts, second guessing your body every time you train or try and perform, or you're dealing with the same nagging injuries that keep coming back, my team and I can help you fix that for good. I'll drop a link down below where you can apply to work with us. And just keep in mind a quick word of warning. There are a few types of people that we don't actually work with. So first off, we don't work with people who don't have an athletic background or who don't take their training seriously right now. We also don't work with people who are just looking for a little quick pain relief without actually making real changes. And we also don't work with people dealing with acute injuries who can't really train at all right now. If that is you, then go see a doctor first and then come back when you're ready to actually rebuild. That's why when you apply, my team and I actually take the time to go through your application and see if you're a good fit. And if we can help you, great. If not, no worries. I guarantee you'll still walk away with more clarity than before you actually applied. So, with that being said, if you are ready to finally fix this, apply at the link below. And if not, keep watching these videos for free, start implementing what I'm teaching here, and I'll see you in the next one.